the chamber at approximately 1:30 p.m. with the Honorable Tom Lindsay in the chair. Thanks and have a great day.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills. The Honourable Member for Fort Garry.
I moved, seconded by the member for Tyndall Park, that bill number 212, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, loi modifant la loi sur la location et usage d'habitation, be now read a first time.
Thank you. It's been moved by the Honourable Member for Fort Garry, seconded by the Honourable Member for Tyndall Park, that bill number 212, the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, be now read a first time. The Honourable Member for Fort Garry.
I'm pleased to introduce the Residential Tenancies Amendment Act, which strengthens protections for Manitoban renters by ensuring the above guideline rent increases are fair and justified. Thousands of renters in Manitoba have faced steep above guideline rent increases, often for cosmetic renovations they did not ask for or benefit from. Many tenants struggle to appeal these increases, facing bureaucratic hurdles, lack of transparency, and a fear of landlord retaliation. This bill closes loopholes that have allowed landlords to remove rent discounts before applying for above guideline rent increases, and ensures rent increases beyond the cap can only be approved for legitimate expenses. It also allows phased-in rent increases, easing the financial burden on tenants. I also want to recognize and thank the West Broadway Tenants Committee members in the gallery today. Their advocacy has been critical in raising awareness of how AGIs are impacting families, and I appreciate their support of this legislation.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Agreed and so ordered. Committee reports. Tabling of reports. Ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Families.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to mark Human Trafficking Awareness Day, part of Stop Child Sexual Exploitation Week. As the Minister responsible for women and gender equity, I affirm my support for survivors and our government's commitment to stand firmly against any form of gender-based violence. Human trafficking affects all Manitobans, and we all have a role to play in addressing and preventing human trafficking. We know the effects of compounding marginalization like racism, sexism, homophobia, and transphobia leave some Manitobans disproportionately affected by sex trafficking. We also know victim blaming, misinformation, and harmful stigmas related to human trafficking can prevent survivors from seeking help. Citizens must educate themselves on the signs of trafficking and how to keep our relatives safe. Human traffickers can target anyone, but women and girls account for 93% of police-reported incidents in Canada, with 23% of cases involving survivors under the age of 17. Our government is committed to interventions and supports for young survivors through the work of Tracy's Trust, Manitoba's sexual exploitation prevention strategy. Established in 2002 in honor of Tracia Owen, a young Indigenous girl who died by suicide after being sexually exploited. Tracy's Trust invests $15 million annually with community organizations across Manitoba to prevent human trafficking and sexual exploitation. Tomorrow, my team from the Department of Families is connecting with community members from across Manitoba in a full-day Tracy's Trust Engagement Summit. Part of the annual Stop Child Sexual Exploitation Awareness Week conference, this gathering brings Manitobans together to discuss the needs of those experiencing sexual exploitation in our province, highlight existing supports, identify gaps and barriers, and chart a course on what is needed to revitalize the Tracy's Trust strategy. Miigwech to frontline organizations leading this sacred work with your care and your love and your dedication and your fierceness, ensuring the safety of our women, girls, youth, two-spirit, and gender-diverse relatives. This is hard work, and I lift you up for this incredibly important work. Together, we are creating pathways to healing so every Manitoban can live safe from the threat of human trafficking and sexual violence, empowered to be their authentic selves, and to live their lives to the fullest, most unapologetic and good way. Miigwech.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to recognize Human Trafficking Awareness Day. The purpose of Human Trafficking Awareness is to actively work towards preventing exploitation before it happens. Human Trafficking Awareness Day serves as an important opportunity to raise awareness of the harsh realities of human trafficking. There's a misconception that this does not happen here in Canada. The truth is, it sadly does. In fact, 96% of trafficking victims in Canada are women and girls, and 25% of known victims are under the age of 18. Human trafficking involves profiting from the exploitation of another person through force, manipulation, or coercion. The day highlights the urgent need for support services for survivors, including mental health care, legal aid, housing, and job training. It serves to humanize the issue by focusing on the recovery of victims and providing them with essential resources to rebuild their lives. Traffickers are not always strangers. Often they build relationships with their victims, gaining their trust to manipulate and exploit them. Every year, Human Trafficking Awareness Day in Canada gives us a chance to educate ourselves about this critical issue. By raising awareness, we can work together to create meaningful change in our communities. There's several ways we can help fight against human trafficking. Report suspicious activity that you might witness that could potentially be related to human trafficking. Support many organizations like that close to home here, the Joy Smith Foundation, which are dedicated to combating human trafficking and helping survivors. By raising awareness and taking action, we can stand together to protect our fellow Manitobans, ensuring that no one has to endure the horrors of human trafficking. Through compassion and unity, we can create lasting change and make our communities safer for all. Thank you.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park. Okay. Member statements. The honourable member for the Paul-Kamisak.
Thank you, Mr. Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to honour a remarkable constituent in the Paul-Kamisak. Peggy Wilson is a dedicated individual who has become a pillar at the community garden in Pasquia Cree Nation. These gardens were created to address high rates of diabetes in the community, but became a place for families in OCN to find reprieve during the pandemic. At the time, 42 families signed up to spend their allotted weekly time in the garden, but more families have since begun to visit and spend time in the garden outside of these hours. This garden now holds much meaning for the community and is a provider of healthy, fresh, affordable food for the community. They supply produce for elders and for children at the local schools. They also regularly sell produce from the garden where customers pay what they can, and proceeds are all put back into operations and upkeep. Through this garden, organizers aim for the community and get involved in land-based learning, teaching others how to grow their own food and about a Pasquia culture and traditions. In the North, it's important that we continue to strive for food sovereignty, to lead active and healthy lives, and this garden is an important step towards that. Peggy has become a fixture in this community garden and has been pivotal in maintaining and cultivating the space. She has done so much work for our constituency that I'm proud of her efforts to create a healthy, an active community here in the North. Peggy, we are grateful for your dedication and to create a welcoming space for everyone. She has joined us here in the gallery today, and I ask that the House join me in thanking Peggy for her contributions to the Paqamisac and Apaskriak Nation. Peggy,
The honourable member for Red River North.
Honourable Speaker, I rise in the House today to honour All Nations Express, a men's pool team from Winnipeg. This past June, All Nations Express won the men's Master Division title at the VNEA 8-Ball World Championships in Las Vegas, an event attended by over 4,000 people from around the world. It is my privilege to introduce the team members joining us here today in the gallery. Brad White, a construction manager from East St. Paul, Manitoba. This married father of twin 2-year-olds has been playing pool for 28 years. Cornell Keith McLean Jr., the team captain, a 38-year-old father from Lake Martin First Nation who grew up in Winnipeg in the downtown area. A professional electrician by day, he usually finds himself in the pool halls on weekends in the winter and on the golf courses in the summertime. Johnny Baptiste, born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, raised on the Ebb and Flow First Nation, father of 4 and a proud First Nation safety officer on the Ebb and Flow First Nation. He has been playing pool for 29 years. Sean Monkman, this father of 2, is a self-employed construction foreman from Bacona, Manitoba. He has been playing pool for 29 years. And Jeff Clare is from Winnipeg. This married father of 2 has been playing pool for 30 plus years. Jeff spends his days at the bank as a mortgage specialist and in the evenings hitting bank shots on his home pool table. Honourable Speaker, their win is historic because it marks the first time in the 44-year history of VNEA Championship that the men's master team from Manitoba has won the title. Honourable Speaker, I ask my colleagues today to join me and recognize Brad, Cornell, Johnny, Sean, Jeff, for their historic win and applaud them for representing Manitoba and putting Canada on the world stage. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It is my great pride to stand before you to recognize the incredible milestone Canada's National Ukrainian Festival will be celebrating on August the 25th, August 2025, their 60th anniversary. In 1965, the festival began with a founding group was given a box of letterheads and $5 in stamps to get started. The vision was showcase Ukrainian culture Canada by hosting the national 3-day festival celebration in Dauphin. For 6 decades, this festival has been a cornerstone of the Ukrainian culture and heritage, featuring vibrant traditions, music, dance, and food that's made by the Ukrainian community so vital to Canada. The event attracts thousands of visitors around the world. A recent economic impact study revealed that combining the spending of out-of-town visitors last year totaled over $2.5 million, generating more than $3.1 million in economic activity in the province of Manitoba. The festival takes place to dedication of the 300 volunteers to ensure their success every year. Held at the historical Solo Ukrainian site near Riding Mountain National Park, just 10 minutes south of Dauphin, the festival offers the beauty, the settings, and their cultural celebrations. As we all look forward to the 60th anniversary, I express my deepest gratitude to the volunteers, the organizers and supporters who made this event possible. Your efforts have strengthened the Ukrainian culture and contributed to Manitoba's tourism sector. I want to recognize the current Canadian National Ukrainian Festival President Kayla Gillis and Vice President Corey LaFontaine that's in attendance with many board members and their volunteers for their commitment. Congratulations and look forward to celebrating in Dauphin, Manitoba, August 25th with you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Ron. Great job.
The honourable member for Agassiz.
It's my great pleasure to stand here today to recognize the work being done in Agassiz to get the new hospital up and running. This facility was part of our PC team's commitment and investment in rural healthcare, with the work beginning in 2022. Construction is well underway, and the state-of-the-art facility stands as a testament to the PC commitment to delivering top-notch healthcare in rural Manitoba. With modern amenities and a dedicated team of healthcare professionals, the new 60-bed hospital promises to enhance the quality of care available to families across Manitoba. With the great addition to rural healthcare, we must also address the need of a computerized tomography at the new hospital. A CT scanner is not just a piece of equipment, it is a crucial tool, a critical tool that allows for accurate diagnosis, timely treatment of medical conditions, and saves lives. We all know that a delay in diagnosis will lead to increased morbidity and mortality. The needs for the community have changed since the facility was planned. The current hospital is experiencing increased numbers of patients at the existing ER, and the new facility will only see more. I'm hearing from constituents and medical personnel outside of the area, including specialists and radiologists, that the volume of demand originating in this area is enough to justify a CT scanner. When compared to other hospitals of similar size, it would be unusual to see a 60-bed hospital with a 14-bed emergency room not include a CT scanner. Equipping Neepawa Hospital with a scanner would be taking a significant step toward ensuring that many Manitobans could receive prompt medical attention without the added stress of travel or ambulatory services. A CT scanner would not only save time and resources, but also enhance the overall efficiency of our healthcare services and reduce wait times right across the province. It is crucial and essential for the new rural hospital to have this technology. I urge the government to incorporate this important diagnostic tool in the new Neepawa Hospital so that it can serve many Manitobans and cut back on...
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Radisson.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Supporting mental health organizations isn't just a charitable activity, it's leadership in action. Haymat & Co. is a woman-run local business that is one of those leaders who get it. There's no better time than now to be reminding our global community of our shared and multifaceted humility and humanity. That's why I am thrilled to highlight the speed at which Haymat & Co. is taking the global stage. Honourable Speaker, in 2023, not too long ago, Amber Nemeth, who named the business after her two daughters, opened her first retail store at Kildonan Place Mall, which is located in the great heart of the constituency of Radisson. With the support of her loving family, their store serves as a space for local makers to sell a wide variety of goods, like soaps, accessories, apparel, stationery, snacks, and more, providing a stable shelf space for small business owners across Manitoba. Haymat & Co. has gained international recognition for its Be Kind movement, a clothing collection that promotes mental health awareness, and a portion of the proceeds go to support the Manitoba chapter of the Canadian Mental Health Association. Over the last 6 years alone, Haymat & Co. has donated over $10,000 of their proceeds to help build mental health supports across our province. And from the Emmy Awards to the Golden Globes in Los Angeles, Haymat & Co. has been bringing dollars straight from American gifting suites right back to Manitoba in support of mental health. Amber and family, I am honored to be your storefront MLA and congratulate you on your plans for a second location. The work that you're doing has inspired a movement. You've not only built a business, but you're building a legacy of mental health literacy, awareness, and empowerment. I invite my colleagues to please join me in congratulating Amber for all of her achievements with Haymat & Co. and to wish her all of the best as she continues to grow her business.
Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
So, Honourable Speaker, the Premier of Ontario is meeting with Secretary Litnick. And our Premier said yesterday, and I quote, "That's why earlier today I was on the call with Premier Ford and Premier Smith and every other Premier across this great country." So what does our Premier do? He plans on doubling down, claiming he had to fly to BC to meet with Premier Eby, something he easily could have done by picking up the phone or going on a Zoom call. We all know his trip was about trying to save his NDP friends in British Columbia, so I ask, why doesn't he just admit it, pay back the taxpayers for the flight and expenses, and just come clean today, Honourable Speaker?
The Honourable First Minister.
You know, they really got their finger on the pulse on the other side of the chamber here. And so I'll take this opportunity to congratulate David Eby for winning the BC election last fall. Now, prior to that campaign period, I went and had the privilege of having a bilateral meeting with David Eby, in which we discussed how his province was able to expand pharmacare coverage to cover HRT. Now, the thing in our society that we're trying to address here is that many women are experiencing menopause earlier, and therefore are going to need that HRT assistance so that they can be healthier over the many years to come in their lives. And so after learning from that bilateral meeting, I came home and met with our health minister, and I'm very proud to tell that this past week we expanded pharmacare coverage in Manitoba to cover hormone replacement therapy, an important step forward for women's health in Manitoba.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
So I guess, Honourable Speaker, that conversation could not have happened via Zoom or a phone call. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for Midland for bringing forward Bill 224 to help hold the Canoe government to account on financial matters, transparency and accountability to the public. In the interest of accountability and financial transparency, will the Premier tell us how many of his staff and colleagues joined him on this voyage to British Columbia, and just how much it cost taxpayers for them to all campaign to save David Eby's BC NDP government? And while he's at it, can he tell us whether the Manitoba taxpayers' contributions were counted in the BC election as well? Of course, for transparency, can he please clarify for everyone watching today, plus everyone in the gallery, Honourable Speaker?
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, it's quite a fantastic voyage, but it's not very coolio with me when these member opposites keep slippity sliding down the poles into utter oblivion. Again, I went to British Columbia to meet with Premier Eby to talk about health care and pharmacare. Now, here's the thing. The members opposite are right. I did do something other than meet with Premier Eby while I was in British Columbia. The other thing that I did is that I presented a pair of moccasins to David and his wife Kaylee to congratulate them on their then newborn baby. So I'll use this opportunity on the record to congratulate them once again. Congrats on that bundle of joy.
Right on.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We all know what the NDP were doing in British Columbia, and it was not solving health issues. Fact is, he's not fooling anyone, Honourable Speaker. The Premier took his whole team out to BC to campaign on Manitoba taxpayers' dollars, and he was so proud of this shameful behaviour, he posted it all over the internet, and I table some additional evidence of that today, Honourable Speaker. The Premier just simply needs to stop evading the questions, stop trying to distract, stop trying to get back into his rapping days and come clean and apologize and pay back the money, Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable First Minister.
Yeah, you know, while the member opposite wants to litigate the John Rustad campaign and try to have a do-over on his behalf in BC, while the member wants to throw shade at the moccasins that I paid for myself to gift to another premier and his family, what I would say is this, through you, the chair. Are you going to ask me about steel this week? Are you going to ask me about ag tariffs from China this week? We've been here all week long, not a single question about the very serious challenges to our provincial economy from the member opposite. Well, good news for people in the ag industry, the steel industry, and everyone out there in private enterprise. Your Manitoba NDP government is standing up for you. We've got supports for you here at home, and we're pushing back against the Trump administration's unjustified tariffs, as well against those being brought forward by the PRC. We're strong on healthcare, and we're strong on the economy.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
We've had many questions in the last 6 days, Honourable Speaker, on various different topics, and the Premier gives zero answers, Honourable Speaker. Matter of fact, he intends on continuing to distract. This morning, we brought forward a common-sense resolution to give the government some direction to provide permanent tax relief to those businesses who work hard in the devastating facets of the Trump administration's tariffs, Honourable Speaker. A tax that the NDP had created, which most provinces have rejected long time ago, and that's the payroll tax. Your finance minister, Honourable Speaker, has failed to recognize the damage of the payroll tax to job creation and has offered only deferrals for Manitoba employers. So will the Premier commit to phasing out the payroll tax today?
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, did you notice how he started to stammer when he talked about the American president? Again, always uncomfortable to call it like it is and to say that Manitobans need to stand up against Donald Trump. Again, you know, the members opposite are like a real-life version of those J.D. Vance memes that we're seeing everywhere. Please, Mr. Premier, you got to say please to the president. The members opposite, day after day, have the opportunity to ask about the ag industry, to ask us about steel, and yet they come in here with policy decisions they never took when they were in office. The member opposite was at the cabinet table and collected the payroll tax every single day. My question for him is, if we phase it out, will he then stand in his seat and applaud your NDP government?
Yeah, that's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, once again, we see the behaviour of this Premier, which is absolutely not becoming of a Premier, Honourable Speaker. The CFIB, the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Council have all been calling for changes to the payroll tax because they know that businesses looking to invest in Manitoba often see the payroll tax levels and they move on to look somewhere else. That's how this tax destroys jobs, Honourable Speaker. Good jobs that could be locating here in this province. The businesses see this Premier and his behaviour and the NDP's tax and spend ways, and they decide to move the jobs somewhere else, Honourable Speaker. So will the Premier commit today to phase out the job-killing payroll tax? Yes or no?
The Honourable First Minister.
We've added jobs in Manitoba, thanks to the hard work of your Manitoba NDP team. The literal member opposite, the member for Lac du Bonny, oversaw the payroll taxes application every single day during his time in government. Every single day while he was at the cabinet table. So I'm not sure what last strand of credibility he is straining today, but I will say this. I know there is a lot of insecurity about jobs on the other side of this chamber because Wally is apparently running away with the PC leadership and he's promised to fire everybody. That's right. So again, we are going to be there for Manitoba workers. We're going to be there for Manitoba industry. Hey, who knows? Maybe we'll even be there when some of them are looking for work in the very near future.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, we had successive budgets which we took small businesses, large businesses, right off the tax rolls entirely for that job-destroying payroll tax. Honourable Speaker, Manitoba businesses are facing tariffs today. Trucks are no longer moving our goods across the border. They need to know that there is more than a deferral to help them get through these tough times. They want real, permanent tax relief. What they've gotten instead from this Premier and his Finance Minister is a whole lot of bluster. This NDP party has no plan. No plan for tariffs, no plan to expand our trade, diversify our markets, or even tear down barriers. All we get from this Premier is mocking platitudes while other premiers do the heavy lifting, Honourable Speaker, on this trade battle. Will this travelling Premier, for a chance, put Manitoba first and phase out the payroll tax today? Honourable Speaker.
The Honourable First Minister.
Apparently the Wally campaign reached out and the member opposite asked if they were going to keep him on, and he heard what their answer was and he said, "So you're saying there's a chance?" Pop culture references aside, we know that we're standing up for the people of Manitoba each and every single day. We're bringing back a permanent presence to advocate for your jobs and our economy in Washington, D.C., something that the PCs cut. We're reopening hospital emergency rooms and hiring back workers on the front lines, something that the members opposite cut. And when it comes to the payroll tax, well, that was something that the PCs never cut. So how dare they come in here with that hypocrisy at a time that they're trying to divide Manitobans yet again. It's an important time for all Canadians to stand together. That's what we're doing, and we thank Manitobans for stepping up to work together each and every single day.
The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods.
Despite promising in the 2023 election campaign that they were going to revamp the education funding model, this education minister failed to deliver, which has meant more status quo of a less than top 5 priority for education funding for school divisions from this Canoe government and education minister. This has resulted in a 15.5% increase in school taxes for hardworking blue-collar families in the minister's own backyard. How does she think this is acceptable at a time of looming Trump tariffs and increasing affordability challenges for Manitoba families?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Do you know what we're doing in my own backyard? We are building a brand new school for the students and families in Devonshire Park.
That's right.
It's, again, another day, and it's another lesson in hypocrisy from the PC benches. We heard it from the questions from the interim leader of the opposition, and we hear it continually from the member from Spruce Woods. For years, Honourable Speaker, they cut funding to school divisions, including the Hanover School Division, who this year, thanks to the NDP government's predictable, stable funding, have this year frozen their mill rates. And do you know what the Hanover School Division said about the PC's time?
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods on a supplementary question.
Well, I thank the minister for highlighting the new school at Devonshire Park, which was a PC proposal. They paused it for a year and a half and then decided that it was actually a good idea and they were going to build it. The school would have been half built by now if they had just gotten on with it after they won the election, but they had to waste everybody's time for a year and a half pretending like it wasn't a good idea, and then they decided to build it anyway. So thanks very much to the member for Rossmere for that credit to the former PC government and the member for Lac du Bonnet, who was education minister and proposed that school in the first place. The question was about River East Transcona School Division, not Hanover. Those are two different places in two different parts of the province. Why is this minister comfortable with a 15.5% tax increase on her constituents and everybody else in the River East Transcona School Division?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
We know that thanks to the great work of our Minister of Finance, that more Manitobans than ever are going to be saving on their property taxes this year thanks to our homeowners affordability tax credit. But let's talk about River East Transcona School Division for a minute. And let's talk about what their board had to say about the time during the PCs were in government. Provincial funding in the over the last number of years has been substantially shorter than what we needed in comparison to inflation, as well as the number of new students we are receiving. That was Rod Giesbrecht being quoted in the CTV News in 2023. And let's go back to Hanover School Division and hear what their board chair had to say about the PCs and their school funding. Worst by a mile.
What? Wow.
I've been on the board for 30 years and
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Spruce Woods on a final supplementary question.
The minister is reading quotes from 2023. Here's a news flash for the NDP government. It's 2025. Taxes are going up by 15.5% in River East Transcona School Division. What is this minister going to do to stop that tax hike on hardworking blue-collar families in her constituency and every other constituency in Northeast Winnipeg?
The Honourable Minister of Education and Early Childhood Learning.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're not going to take lessons from the member opposite. When the PCs were in power, what they did was underfund school divisions and pick fights with school boards. In fact, when the PCs were in government, if they had succeeded in Bill 64, again, I'll remind the House, maybe the most hated piece of legislation ever in Manitoba history, they would have done away with school boards altogether. On this side of the House, we are going to work with school divisions and school boards to make sure that they are meeting the needs of Manitoba families and students while also balancing affordability. Affordability that our government is delivering on, thanks again to the great work of our Minister of Finance, the Homeowners Affordability Tax Credit. We saw savings at the gas pump for a year.
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Midland.
Honourable Speaker, it's clear that this NDP government is not doing their job to keep property taxes low for Manitobans. Every single day over the past few weeks, we have heard some kind of increase being proposed by school divisions across the province. Yesterday, I gave this minister an opportunity to stand up for families and to stop these tax hikes today. River East Transcona School Division 15.5% hike was the highest we've seen this year until today, because Turtle Mountain School Division is planning for a 16.55% rate hike as a result of a broken funding model. I table that for the minister. I give the minister another chance. Will they stand up for families and stop these tax hikes today, yes or no?
That's an increase.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, for many years our education system had cuts under the members opposite. Year over year over year, they underfunded education and impacted our kids. And what have we done? We're funding at the rate of inflation, and this year, 3.4% lift. We are taking care of kids in this province. When it comes to affordability, Honourable Speaker, we were proud last year to bring in our $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit that will lower the cost of school taxes across the entire province. We're doing the work every single day on focusing on the needs of families, and we will continue to make life more affordable.
Good job.
The honourable member for Midland on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, the list of property tax hikes is growing every single day. 15.5% River East Transcona, 11% Seine River. I table for the member for Southdale a 7.5% hike to property taxes in their constituency. If the minister won't stand up for families, the member for Seine River won't stand up for families, the member for Brandon East won't stand up for families, will the member for Southdale stand up for families in their constituency and stop these tax hikes today?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Honourable Speaker, the only list that's growing is a list of things we're doing to make life more affordable. You know, in our last budget, we had this beautiful list, 21 ways to save, extending the gas tax holiday, the $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit, broad middle-class tax cuts, doubling the fertility treatment tax credit, increasing the renters tax credit after they hiked taxes on renters. And of course, in addition to this list of 21 ways to save, what else do? We brought in a hydro rate freeze for 2025.
The honourable member for Midland on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, in what world does this minister live in where a 15.5% tax hike increase is affordable? Not the minister is standing up for families, not the member for St. River, not the member for Brandon East, and not the member for Saltail. Nobody from these government benches are taking accountability for their poor financial decisions. So will the Premier, since his members aren't standing up for families, will the Premier stand up today and stop these tax hikes on hard-working families?
No, he won't.
Yes or no?
No, he won't.
The Honourable Minister of Family. Honourable Minister of
We're going to continue
Finance.
doing the important work of making life more affordable. Again, our $1,500 homeowner affordability tax credit is lowering school taxes for the vast majority of Manitobans. More work to do, and we're very excited to bring forward more of our work to make life more affordable in budget 2025. But you know, we got to remind the members opposite of their record when they were in government. What did they do? Again, they applied the fuel tax every single day they were in government, gladly. They continue to pound Manitoban businesses with the payroll tax. They increased costs for renters. They jacked up hydro rates. That's their record, Honourable Speaker. On this side of the House, every single member of this team is committed to making life more affordable. We know that's important. More work to do, and can't wait to release our budget on March 20th.
Awesome.
The Honourable Member for Roblin.
Debbie Fuster was a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 10. She had just retired and was excited to spend more time with her family. But tragically, she was failed by the NDP's healthcare system. Debbie passed away while waiting for a life-saving surgery last fall. I know the minister hasn't reached out to the family, but I spoke with them this morning. They have a straightforward proposal, Debbie's Law, a law that would require the government to inform patients when life-saving care cannot be provided in a timely manner. It would also require the government to discuss out-of-province care options when wait times here are too long. This is about accountability, putting patients first, and common sense. The PC side of the House is ready to fully support this legislation. Will the NDP, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I want to express on behalf of our government our deepest condolences to Debbie Fuster's family, who have been grieving this very tragic loss. This is a situation that we never want to see happen, and I know that the WRHA leadership, health leadership, is actively meeting with the family to have those conversations, to provide any support and information that the family needs. You know, we take all aspects of healthcare very seriously, but certainly the area of cardiac sciences and women's heart health. Our government is committed to doing the work necessary to ensure that our services are there for Manitobans when they need it. And I look forward to sitting down and having conversations with the family as well, if they'd like to do so. Thank you. Good job, Minister.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
I would ask the minister if they've considered that Debbie Fuster could still be alive today if their government hadn't callously cut out-of-province care options for patients when wait times here were too long.
Shame.
When asked if he'd adopt Debbie's Law on CBC this morning, the Premier refused to say yes. Instead, he took credit for a waitlist system that was created by a task force he has smeared on dozens of occasions and fired the first chance he got. And despite taking credit, he didn't even know that this system doesn't track cardiac surgeries. He didn't know if deaths on waitlists are tracked in Manitoba. So let me enlighten him. No, Manitoba does not publicly report how many patients die waiting for surgery. How is it possible that this Premier, who campaigned solely on healthcare, knows so little about healthcare in Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Shame on that member. Shame. Shame on the member opposite for referencing a task force that didn't actually even provide cardiac care out of country. Shame on that member for not acknowledging the fact that Manitoba used to be a cardiac center of excellence. But back in 2017, the cardiac sciences program at St. Boniface Hospital was systemically dismantled by the PCs. It was the envy not only nationally, but internationally. That member's side of the House is responsible for the erosion of a program that was the envy of the rest of the country. On this side of the House, we're doing the work to restore it.
100%. The Honourable Member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
We know where the NDP stands. I ideologically on even the idea of out-of-province care. That's right. But the fact is, before the NDP, if waits in Manitoba were too long, you had options. You could be sent out of province for faster care, whether it was a knee replacement, a hip surgery, or even a life-saving cardiac procedure, all paid for by the provincial government. Ask a patient who received a surgery as a part of this program if they think that money was well spent. I have many times, and they will tell you it saved their lives. Under the NDP, that option is gone, and now we're seeing the real-life consequences play out in hospitals across Manitoba. The NDP are playing with patients' lives. Will they do the right thing and reinstate out-of-province care options for patients when wait times here are too long? Yes or no?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, I'm going to put some facts on the record because it seems that the member opposite really struggles to do so. In Manitoba, we had a cardiac sciences program that was the envy of the rest of the country and was known internationally to provide innovative care across our province and for those outside of Manitoba. In 2017, members opposite, that member did the work of dismantling that program. Pulling it apart piece by piece, even though the specialists in that program begged for them to not do so. Our government is doing the work of restoring that program, working directly with doctors like Dr. Soni, who is an expert in cardiac care for women in this province and across the country. On that side of the House, what they should do is stand up and apologize for the damage.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
This minister claims she's stepping up with real money, yet if this government cared about children, they would step up with real action. The increase the minister keeps referring to has not prevented the devastating cut to pivotal programs, vital programs and services for our most vulnerable youth. Instead, she is firing their one-to-one support workers and social workers, leaving children, their families and their communities at greater risk. So I ask again today, what concrete actions is this minister going to take to protect our most vulnerable and ensure their safety and well-being?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Honourable Speaker, and I'm pleased to get up for a fourth day in a row to put on the record, to put on the official record, that since we took government and since I was appointed Minister of Families, we have put in a 6% increase in annualized payments, in annualized dollars across the CFS system. That's $33 million, alongside $11.3 million to the CFS system in respect of operations and wages. We honor those that are on the front lines. We know that folks do very, very good work and care about Manitoba children, and again, the most vulnerable.
Time has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz on a supplementary question.
Social workers within CFS have voiced their concerns, described this minister's response as a failure in this critical area. The narrative that this increase to annualized funding is the solution is actually ignoring the reality. The agencies do not have the sufficient funding to operate programs and services. Children are left without their support workers, while this minister looks the other way and fires staff. Given that relationship-based connection has been critical in the successes of these youth and children, what support has the minister provided to the youth and families directly impacted by these cuts?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
I remind the member opposite, as I've said all week here, that we've added $898,000 to Southeast CFS and $2.4 million to Métis and Michif agencies to ensure that their wages, they've got dollars for their wages. The other piece that we've done, and they're so very quiet on this, and they're so very quiet on this because they did nothing in their 7.5 years of a failed, cold, callous, uncaring government. We raised the basic maintenance rates to foster parents by 10%, something that folks opposite never did. So I know the member gets up day after day trying to feign that she actually cares about Manitoba children.
Time has expired. The honourable member for Agassiz on a final supplementary question.
I get up day after day because I care about these kids that are going to be affected. These layoff notices were responsible for essential programs that supported these children again and again, and their families, and they've helped keep these children safe, provided trauma-enforced care, promoted family preservation and reunification, and cultural education. Children and youth depended on these services. Can the minister share what efforts she has taken in the last 7 days to minimize the impact of these cuts on the children and youth within the Métis CFS system?
The Honourable Minister of Families.
I know the member opposite, once again, is trying to get up in the chamber and act as if she actually cares about Manitoba children. No member opposite can get up with a clear conscience in this chamber and say that they actually care about Manitoba children when they still have yet to get up and apologize to trans children. Trans children that were targeted and bullied by every single one of them under the leadership of the member for Fort White, who again is second in this leadership race. Not one of them have gotten up. These are the same members that legislated the rights of Indigenous children away. It is not true what they're trying to put on the record. They do not care about Manitoba children. They never have. I would encourage them to get up and apologize.
Member's time has expired. The honourable member for Tyndall Park.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The day-to-day of retail business is becoming more challenging. Large retailers, small shops, chains, and convenience stores in every neighborhood are affected, and many are being forced to close. Businesses are seeing more break-ins, assaults on employees, theft, and not only does this affect their bottom line, but it affects the safety of the staff and customers. Can this government share with the House which specific businesses they have consulted with in the hopes of being able to better support?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Well, thank you very much for the question, Honourable Speaker, from the member for Tyndall Park. It is an important one, and it's one that our government has been focused on over the last year and a half. That's why we called together leaders from business from across the province at our retail summit to ask them how can we support them when it comes to public safety, when it comes to safety for their workers and for employees across this province. And what we heard was that there was a lot of good work that had been done with our security rebate. They saw the value in the retail crime initiative that was undertaken, and they wanted to see that made permanent. That's why our government stepped up, 12 new officers in the fall, 12 more coming in the spring. We're working with businesses. We want to make our community safer, and we want to do it in partnership with retailers.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, crime is not only affecting retailers, but many commuters on transit buses are also being forced to witness and experience intoxication, violent behavior, and even exposure to dangerous weapons. Unfortunately, we are at a point where we need safety officers on some bus routes due to the frequency of crime. In a recent incident, bystanders intervened and restrained the suspect until police arrived, putting themselves at risk. What is this government doing to increase safety on buses?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Again, I thank the member for Tyndall Park for the important question. When it comes to public safety, specifically in our downtown, I already mentioned our retail crime initiative, but of course we're taking that a step further. We're working with the DCSP, the Downtown Community Safety Partnership. They have patrols across the downtown, and we added additional funds and supports for work that they're doing. We're also in talks to add mental health workers to make sure that their work is done in a holistic way. When it comes to those transit safety officers, part of our Community Safety Officer program, we enhanced the tools that they have in their toolkit. We're willing to support the city in their endeavors to make our transit safer and all of downtown, our entire city safer. It comes down to community policing, and that's why we support law enforcement and the work that they do.
The honourable member for Tyndall Park on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In 2024, there were 99 homicides in Manitoba. This is not only Manitoba's highest homicide recorded in history, but it is also the highest in the Canadian provinces. Rural Manitoba alone doubled their average number of homicides last year. Now, this government campaigned to be tough on crime, to enforce real consequences, to better support police. They even committed that downtown would become safer and that there would be a reduction in youth crime. Yet none of this has happened. Honorable Speaker, can the Minister of Justice tell us when we can expect to see some results?
The Honorable Minister of Justice.
Well, I'll remind the member for Tyndall Park that the statistics that she's quoting are in fact a reflection of the time when the PCs were in government. And of course we know that crime did skyrocket under the previous government. But really, it's no wonder, Honourable Speaker, because under the previous government, we saw a freeze in municipal funding for police, and that impacted communities across the province. But here in the city of Winnipeg, 55 officers less on our streets during the time that the members opposite were in power. Now, since taking office, we've added 12 new officers, 12 more coming just in the next few weeks, and 12 more again in the fall. It's about working with law enforcement. It's about funding law enforcement and all the supports that they have. Honourable Speaker, we are getting tough on crime and its causes.
Member's time has expired. Could we stop the clock for a minute, please? There are some guests in the gallery that are going to be leaving before we're done here, so I want to take an opportunity to welcome to the public gallery from Concord Christian Academy 15 students under the direction of Ryan Kleinsasser. The group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Lakeside. We welcome you here today. The Honourable Member for Tuxedo.
Honourable Speaker, years of cuts and chronic underfunding by the PCs have led to serious staffing shortages in our healthcare system. Millions of dollars were spent on failed recruitment trips, all while they were firing nurses and treating healthcare workers with disrespect. Meanwhile, many capable healthcare workers living in Manitoba were never invited to join the front lines. But Honourable Speaker, that's about to change. Our government is making it easier for internationally educated nurses to work in our healthcare system. Can the Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care tell the House more about the opportunities for these nurses and how our government is clearing a pathway for them?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
I want to thank my friend from Tuxedo for that excellent question. And I want to thank my colleagues, the Minister of Labour and Immigration, Minister of Advanced Education, the Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation for the collaborative effort that they've played in making this happen. Our government values the expertise of internationally educated healthcare system, nurses rather, in our healthcare system. And that's why we're helping to bring more folks get access to our healthcare system through an expedited, innovative training program. I'm really happy to say that the first cohort of IENs have already completed the program and more are on the way. If you live in Manitoba, if you've made Manitoba your home and you have the skills to join the front lines, our government is going to make sure you have a pathway to practice, and we welcome you to our healthcare team here in Manitoba.
Right on.
The Honourable Member for Portage-La Prairie.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. And just so everybody's aware, this is the third time I've been up asking an agriculture question. That's right. And I wasn't going to ask a question today, but I had to. Honourable Speaker, the Ag Minister yesterday had no answer, even from his own colleague, of what action this government has taken on the letter received from CAP, dated February 25. In fact, let me table it, as the minister seems to be unaware. What specific actions can you tell the canola growers you're doing to help them right now, as they're losing confidence and huge money every day with this government's inaction?
The Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. And it was great to have the CAP organization sit in my office yesterday after they sat in the gallery and we moved forward. I'm gathering, Honourable Speaker, I'm not gathering the critic is assuming that the Keystone agriculture producers have an issue with our government dealing with agriculture issues. Well, I want to assure you, we're very glad to see the chair or the president of the CAP organization be appointed to be on the Premier's U.S. mission trade to work. So we're talking about communication, we're talking about cooperation, and we're talking about Team Canada, not on Team Manitoba. That's what I think.
Expired. The honourable member for Portage-La Prairie on a supplementary question.
One of the actionable items from CAP is to provide industry with accurate and up-to-date data on immediate and long-term effects of tariffs. Now, how often are you providing this valuable data? Will you share this information with the House and all Manitobans? What are you doing to support producers with this data?